to introduce to you Dr. Loretta Griffy. Dr. Griffy is a professor in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at Austin Peay State University. You've heard several people refer to Austin Peay already and the innovative approach that they're taking to these discussions. She was a key leader in the development and implementation of the Structured Assistance Program at the school, and her teaching experiences are founded in developmental studies, so I think that will speak to the question that was just asked. She's also worked extensively with advising practices on her campus and will be sharing her experiences with us today. So please join me in welcoming Loretta Griffy.
And some of the things that we've been doing in our institution to address student success issues. And I will address primarily advising, but I am also going to talk about remedial education and co-requisite models, and some things that have happened on our campus that have caused us to make some very significant progress with that group of students. Okay, before I begin, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Austin Peay, so perhaps those of you from your campus can make some connections with our institution. Austin Peay State University is in Tennessee. We're right on the Tennessee-Kentucky border. It's about a 5-hour drive from here. We have about, I know that because I just did that. We have about 10,000 students on our campus. We are a residential campus, but we have primarily commuter students, and about 40% of our population are adult and returning students. So we are considered an access institution. Even though we do have admissions requirements, they are fairly low. We also, as Larry described, we also have a lot of high-performing students. So we have a broad dynamic going on our campus, and it makes it an interesting place to work. Advising. What does advising look like at Austin Peay? Well, we have a split model of advising as far as what our advising model is. However, it is primarily faculty-driven. So we have an advising model where our faculty are the folks that are doing the academic advising for our students. We have about 350, 375, somewhere in that range of full-time faculty members who serve as academic advisors, and about 10,000 students. So you can quickly do the math and realize, wow, that's a lot. Some things happen on our campus that I am confident happen on your campus too if you are dealing with disciplined advisors. Our physics faculty, they have, 5 or 6 advisees. They have a great relationship with their advisees. They know them by name, they know where they are at any given moment. Our psychology advisors may have 200, 300 advisees. So we have a lot of challenges. Some departments can build the advising relationships that we want very easily, simply because of the type of department and discipline they are. Others are just truthfully overwhelmed. Our overwhelmed areas, psychology is one, nursing is another. Those two areas are areas that students come to us and they are very interested in those areas. Lots of students indicate that they want to seek degrees in those particular areas. So our goal is to try to improve advising relationships. How do we build and how do we improve advising relationships? We realized that our advising structure probably was not helping our students. So several years ago we had this realization that, gosh, we may actually be hurting our students in the way we structure advising. So what do we need to do? So we started off really, really simple, embarrassingly simple. We decided that our students that were the most at risk, at our institution, these are our conditionally admitted students. They have the lowest ACT scores. They're the students that need the most academic attention. In fact, they're admitted to the institution on probation. So if we don't get to them quickly, they're gone by December. So that was a group that we really felt like we needed to get to. We have about 1/4 of our incoming freshmen in this condition in any given fall semester. So it's a big group of students. So again, we decided to start very easy. The first thing we did was simply determine, well, how many times do we talk to these students? And we were embarrassed to find out sometimes none, at most 3. So that was our relationship with our most at-risk students. So our very embarrassingly simple first step was to increase the number of contacts. That was it. Can we increase the number of contacts? And we did in a very simple way. We went to departments that had high enrolled, conditionally admitted students. The physics department was not one of them. Nursing and psychology, those were areas where we had a lot of conditionally admitted or at-risk academic students, and very few advisors. So what are we going to do? Well, we asked for some faculty volunteers, and then we gave them a little bit of an incentive, not much of an incentive, but we asked for some faculty volunteers and simply described the problem. The first thing that we described was, here are your incoming freshmen, and that was information they didn't even know. 25% of them are in this conditional admit status. So what are you going to do about them? Well, we want to help you do something with them. So the first piece of information we gave to departments was simply, here are your incoming majors, and here are their academic credentials, and here are their risks in terms of being successful at this institution. We're going to start with those that we think are most at risk. And so we began what we called an advising liaison program. We simply asked for volunteers, gave them a little monetary incentive, and said, here's how we want you to contact the students. We gave them a very prescribed list. This is what your email looks like. This is what the phone call sounds like. This is how you ask them to come to the office. We also want you to invite them to one event on campus. It can be a club event, it can be a movie, it can be coffee in the UC, it can be a variety of things. So we asked them to have 4 very prescriptive contacts, and we asked them to tell us about them. And we didn't want to cause too much work, so the only tell we asked them to do was to tell us if they had done it. That was it. Well, amazingly, by the end of the semester, every single student in this program had been contacted 4 times. Not necessarily the 4 contacts we wanted, but they had been contacted 4 times. So we thought, well, this is a win, we'll try this again. So we did, we tried it again. And we got better. Our contacts moved to 7 times. We were improving on our contacts. One of the things that happened is the students understood that their advisors were going to start calling them, and they wanted to know what this was all about. So in they came. So we felt really happy. We had this great increase in contacts. So that's not the end of the story. That was the baby step. Now we became concerned that the contacts needed to be valuable contacts. How do we make them valuable? I mean, is an email valuable? Even if you get a response, is the phone call valuable? What is a valuable contact? Well, what we know is a valuable contact for us was a contact where not only the faculty member and the student interacted, but they interacted within that department in some activity. So it wasn't just come to my office and let's chat. It was come to my office and let's go to the nursing club pizza party. So we realized we had to not only grab our most at-risk students, talk to them, we had to do something with them. Okay, so this process evolved. Your campuses will all be different, and so you have to watch this process, gather your data, talk about what's happening as you take the baby steps, and your individual plan will improve. Here's what we learned over the last 4 years. We started with a fall-to-fall retention rate for our conditionally admitted students that was about 20 to 25 percentage points below our regular admit students. It's now 7% below our regular admit students. Is this program the only thing that conditional admit students are doing? No, but it's one of them. So we think that this intrusive, and I'm with Larry, I don't mind being intrusive, but I will tell the students I'm being proactive. But I don't mind intruding on the student. That is part of what is helping our least prepared students at least come back to us for the fall semester. So one piece of advising. So I can encourage you to think about your campuses, think about your most at-risk students, and try to decide what can we do with those students to connect them to their advisors and connect them to an activity. And start with the baby steps. Don't start with the entire thing. Start with the baby steps and learn lessons along the way. Once we realized that, gosh, activity is a really good thing for advisors and students to do together, if we have at-risk students, we had this light bulb go off that said, you know what? If activity is good for our most at-risk students, I wonder if this is good for every student. It turns out, yes, it is good for every student. So what we started thinking about is, because truthfully our advisors had a hard time. I know how to have a conversation with the student in my office if they want to be the thing that I am. What do I do with them, and how do I engage them in my discipline and with their peers? So we realized we needed to help departments come up with creative ways to really have events with their students. And that sounds very simple, and it is. Often the solutions are very simple. And so we came up with a lot of different activities that we help support our departments in having it. In fact, our math department has what they call a course scheduling luncheon. All of the math majors converge all at once. That sounds like a lot. There are 10,000 students. There may be 130 math majors, so it's not a huge converging. It might be a room of this size, and we have their advisors sitting around the room, and we make sure that everybody's fed and everybody's comfortable, and they go through a kind of a group advising system. What are you planning on doing? Show me your map. Are you on it? Why do you want to get off of this map? And it's just an activity. It generally happens between 11 and 2 so that everybody can drop in at different times. So that's an example of an activity that occurs. We also decided we wanted to try to use peer advisors. We had a focus group with some of our students, and some of our upper level students convinced us that they could probably help students stay on the map. We were doubtful. But we decided to let them try it. It can't hurt. We would like to do anything to keep students on their degree map. So we had some very energetic peer advisors in 2 different areas in our institution. One of them was in the pre-professional health sciences, and then another area was in our health and human performance department. We have peer advisors in these departments, and they meet with the freshmen and sophomore students. They are upper level students themselves that have been vetted by the faculty and trained very specifically through our Center for Teaching and Learning in terms of advising processes. And these students ensure that the freshman and sophomore students are on their map. So they show up and they have a discussion. Before you go talk to your academic advisor, let's make sure you're where you need to be so that when you walk into that room, your conversation is not about class scheduling. Your conversation is about something else that you need that's more important, like internships, graduate school, what kind of careers can you get? If you're in pre-professional health, what are the requirements for getting into the program that you want? So the conversation changed with our faculty advisors. It became less about when are you going to take which course, and it became more about how do you maximize your experiences while you're on this campus to meet your ultimate outcome for when you leave this campus. So we think that is a better conversation. We would like in as many of our departments to move towards that model as possible. Some of them feel like they can, and some of them feel like they can't. We also have, when we were trying to reach out to our non-traditional students, specifically those that take a lot of online courses. I'm assuming, do you guys have a lot of online courses and non-trads doing online? It's really hard for a non-traditional student to come in and meet an advisor between 8 to 4:30 when they're actually at work between 8 to 4:30. So we have some advisors that are willing to be creative, and they advise online, they Skype, they do a variety of different things to get to their students who are not actually physically available. One of our issues with all